Bill Henshaw here, Constitutional Crisis Channel. More in the way of current events. And this one's recently, I've had a friend of mine send me some articles on the SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center. I've not had a chance to go through all of those, so this will be kind of a teaser video for an upcoming video that covers it more expansively than what I'll do here. But one of them I read suggested, and evidently with some proof behind it, that the SPLC has close to $70-odd million in foreign investments overseas. And one might be puzzled as to just what they're thinking about doing here. I mean, aren't they supposed to be taking care of the people here, their constituents in America, and helping them to get better off? And yet here they are building up all this wealth, probably non-taxable wealth in overseas accounts that, who knows? Well, this is a very odd situation for this group in particular, and especially a group who is known for casting aspersions on a whole lot of other people at one and the same time, one of which currently is apparently they think that some forms of religion may actually be quote-unquote hate speech. And I can flat out tell you, given the fact that I openly and notoriously invoke white supremacist arguments without hesitation and without remorse, what I'm doing probably they would consider hate speech too. And yet they're 180 degrees off base here, and they know it. At least the leaders know this. They're not going to tell the membership, but they are. They know what's going on. The real story here. So that said, it's very troubling that, they're in a position like this. And for me personally, this harkens back for me 40-odd years to a situation that they're emulating here, and one wonders whether the CFO of the SPLC, isn't Paul Marcinkus Jr. And if you don't know, his dad was the head of the Vatican Bank back in the 70s, when Pope Paul VI was in there, and then Albino Luciani somehow gets elected, an honest man, and lives all through a 33 days of papacy and gets bumped off by Marcinkus and some other people that had a lot to lose. Well, one wonders if the same kind of financial goings-on here aren't happening here. And I would love to do a forensic audit of the SPLC and just see where the money trail leads to. And if, like me, you know your history, as I do, you have to wonder, because you go back to the 1850s with John Brown, and the support for him, even before Harper's Ferry, when he was back in Potawatomi, Kansas, clearly went back. You could trace it to the New York bankers, and just the way that was, and they financed this big deal in Harper's Ferry where he broke into the Federal Army. They're trying to get guns and things, to give them to slaves to help free themselves in Virginia. What you may not know about that, by the way, is that event occurred, I think, in late August or early September of 1859. John Brown was executed before the end of October. He didn't sit on death row a long time in those days. Right or wrong or good or bad, and probably he didn't get what we might consider due process today. But that aside, things moved quickly, and they caught him red-handed. There wasn't any question about what he did. I'd love to have some more information about the backers. And apparently, I'm going to look at the archives of one Henry Ward Beecher, who was a very noted anti-slavery proponent of the times, and you probably are more familiar with his sister, Harriet Beecher Stowe, who wrote Uncle Tom's Cabin. But Henry Ward Beecher, I think correctly, I'm going to get a little off track here, but stated that with the oncoming Industrial Revolution, that slavery would become gone because there'd be enough jobs and enough of a free market, which we don't have today, by the way, that the jobs would be available, and people would go, of all colors would go and get jobs in these industries that would arise even in the South, which was basically agrarian. If you don't know, it was mostly farming down there. They didn't have a lot of manufacturing, which is why we lost the war between the states. Story for another day. But that said, you just wonder about how all this stuff goes on. And this is a quick aside, by the way, my reference to Marcinkus earlier. You might want to read a book called In God's Name, the story of the assassination of John Paul I. It's a very interesting read, and I would highly recommend it. But one wonders about this SPLC, and I'll have a lot more to say about them when I get more information that I can talk confidently about with facts and figures. As you know, I don't say things unless I can prove them, and I'm not in a position at this point, although my instincts and my knowledge of American history tell me I'm on the right track here. We'll see how it shakes out the next time we visit. Thank you.